Good morning and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Friday, September 16th, 2016.
Commissioner Repenning, Davis, Jacinto are present. Vice President Repenning, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Sherman Torres, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Cecile Buncio for Sanitation.
Good morning, Maddie Lawn with Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Angelica Samayoa with the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Lori Rittenberg, City Attorney.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Vice President Repenning, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive speaker cards on item number 1.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close out general public comment, and I'll go ahead and close out Neighborhood Council commentary. We'll go ahead and move to item 4. We have a few administrative items on the agenda that we'll go ahead and close out. I'll do that later. Item number 4, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids, CD11, for Hyperion Treatment Plant Effluent Channel Cover Plate Replacement.
This is a work order SZH 11716 estimated at $1,137,802, and the bid receipt date is going to be Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016. Vice President Repenning, we do need a motion to adopt this item.
Moved by Commissioner Jacinto, seconded by Commissioner Davis. This item is adopted. Any objections to sending it forthwith? Okay, we'll move it forthwith.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5. KISS Enterprises, doing business as Golden State Roofing, transmitting stop notice in the amount of $62,559.19 for furnishing roofing in connection with the LAPD Police Academy Replacement Training Facility Project, contractor Kemp Brothers Construction Incorporated.
Is there a motion?
Moved by Commissioner Jacinto, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objections to sending this forthwith? Okay, it'll be adopted and moved forthwith.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 6. Underground Builders Incorporated, doing business as Underground Manholes, transmitting release of stop notice in the amount of $18,331.64 for furnishing material and performing labor in connection with the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program project at Colorado Boulevard and Townsend Avenue, contractor Ramona Incorporated. Is there a motion on agenda item number 6? Commissioner Jacinto, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection to sending it forthwith? Okay, that'll be moved and sent forthwith. Let's go to agenda item number 1. Actually, I'd like to go ahead and ask for approval of the minutes for the meeting of Friday, August 26, 2016. Moved by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Those minutes have been approved. Moving on to agenda item number 1. CD15, an above-ground facility variance at 30417 South Miralles Drive, recommending that the board, number 1, approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance per LAMC section 62.08.v.b, and 2, authorize Crown Castle to install a 30-foot high steel monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 30417 South Miralles Drive. Mr. Jeff Ledoux.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work for the Bureau of Engineering Central District. This is a Crown Castle proposed cell site that consists of a 30-foot high pole and antenna. The pole is at the base about 7.5 inches in diameter, and it tapers to a little less than 7 inches at the top. It has a small cell antenna at the top of that pole. It also has a electric meter attached to the pole, so there is no separate meter cabinet. Originally, this was a Department of Transportation sign. They took out the metal pole there and want to replace it with their pole, and they'll put the traffic sign actually on their pole. I did have actually 3 appellants to this. I had a Bruce and Irma Levine, and I had a John Roth. Their appeals reached me after the deadline for the 14-day appeal period, so I had to deny their appeals officially, and I did do so by letter and returned their appeal checks to them, although I did inform them that this did have to go to the Board of Public Works, and I would let them know when that was so they could appeal, come to the board and give whatever complaints they had. And I do know that one of the appellants, or one of the people who tried to appeal, is here today. This is in CD 15, which is Joe Buscaino's district. CD 15 remained neutral on this. Basically, there were 2 different groups of appellants. John Roth was the first one, and his letter was concerned with health risks, and that's the only thing that was in his letter. Basically, FCC does not allow us to deny a permit based on health risks. The other was the couple, Bruce and Irma Levine, who actually are adjacent to the site. They are not actually in the city of Los Angeles. The right-of-way is, but their property is not, but they do have the right to appeal this. Theirs was once again dealing with health risks. The letter did say something about the small cell antenna being 20 to 30 feet from their kitchen and family room. In actuality, it's about 105 feet minimum between the antenna and where their house starts. So it's quite a ways from it. As you can see from the board report picture there, it's in front of a large, some trees that block off a lot of sight of this antenna and pole from their house, and also would basically block off a good portion of the signal if it's moving that way. I'm not sure what direction the antenna is aimed at, because these are directional antennas. There is a representative from Crown Castle here who would be the owners of the proposed installation.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and call public comment. Mr. Levine?
Hi, thank you for having me here today. As Mr. Ledoux said, most of what he said is correct. However, I did submit the appeal and the check for the submission well in the allotted time. For some reason, he claims he didn't receive it. Nonetheless, I appealed that.
Sir, you're the property owner?
I'm sorry?
You're the owner of this property?
I am the owner of the property at 30417 Merrill Est. And so I did submit that in ample time. I don't know why he didn't receive it. Well, that's what he states. But nonetheless, I'm here, and I'm here on probably more humanity grounds, because it's 105 feet from the middle of the street to the edge of my property, and the edge of my property is my dining and living room, where my young family resides most of the time, because that's the main room of habitation in my house. My greatest concerns aren't necessarily for my teenagers, but for my little 5-year-old daughter. Crown Castle has not been forthcoming in giving me sufficient data or information. I had a couple of or photocopied sheets of paper that attempted to give some outlines and gave me no assurance of the effects of the IR radiation that comes from the antenna that they're proposing. So I'm here to discuss that and to express my concerns, especially since I live there with my family. There are numerous other sites along Merrill Est in very close proximity to this property. I'm not sure why, other than the fact that there's a piece of property in between my house and the street. Coincidentally, I am in the process of vacation of that property to me. So when that is awarded to me and it is in process, then that will in fact be within probably 10 feet of my wall. So I have some very great concerns, especially if I have children and family playing outside in that yard. Lastly, I'd like to say if my requests aren't honored, then I think Crown Castle needs to be brought to plate. They need to be more forthcoming and sharing more data and supportive information to alleviate concerns such as mine. And if indeed they do go forward with this and there's nothing I can do to stop the process, then I think they should be required to put some type of a berm or some type of reassurance to me and my family so that my concerns can be at least somewhat appeased.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to call Mr. Ledoux back up to the podium, and then we will hear from the representative from Crown Castle. Mr. Ledoux, were there other locations that were looked at for this facility?
That you would have to ask Crown Castle. As the ordinance goes, we're really not supposed to go out and look at different sites unless there's a safety issue. When I get their application, if I see a clear safety issue, then I will consult with Crown Castle about doing something to take care of that safety issue, which would be to move the pole so it does not. But as far as actual siting it, one, I'm not a radio frequency engineer. I wouldn't know where that pole had to go in order to connect with the network. So that's why Crown Castle's here to answer any of those kind of questions.
Okay, we'll go ahead and hear from Mr. Paul O'Boyle, representing Crown Castle.
Honorable Chair, members of the committee, my name is Paul O'Boyle. I'm an attorney representing Crown Castle. Crown Castle has a certificate of public convenience and necessity from the Public Utilities Commission. We have basically a statewide franchise to enter the public right-of-way throughout the whole entire state. All our facilities are only sited in the right-of-way. They do not go on private property. This facility is in the public right-of-way. We did look at a number of alternatives. I can actually show them to you. I'll hand these out to the board. We looked at the coverage objective for this facility is along West 9th Avenue from Southwestern Avenue to Nancy Road. The idea behind these facilities is it's a distributed antenna system. It's basically a fiber optic network, and in order for our wireless customers, who are the AT&Ts of the world, of Verizons, we need to have an antenna so they can communicate. It's very low power. As has been mentioned by Jeff Ledoux, the Congress has preempted the field. There is no discretion for the local jurisdiction on RF emissions whatsoever. That being said, these facilities are less than 0.5% of the allowable RF emissions. So, that point is pretty much moot. We did look at a number of facilities. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to go up and down. This is primarily for the right-of-way, going up and down the street. We don't want to put in any more facilities than we need to. As you can imagine, we don't want to put up any new vertical infrastructure, visual obstructions and such as that. So we primarily look at replacing existing vertical infrastructure in the public right-of-way. The facility we're looking at, as has been mentioned by Jeff Ledoux, is a traffic sign. And, we don't want to put a new pole up. This was the most least obtrusive. It allowed us to go both north and south along the street with the maximum coverage. The people who have the alternatives, you can see that if you move to any of the alternatives, you lose. If you move north, you lose a little bit of the south. If you move south, you lose coverage at the north end. So we would have to do another site, which we don't want, the city doesn't want. As has been mentioned, the main issues are RF, they've been preempted. The other issue is that one of the letters said that it was within 20, 30 feet of the house. The pole is on the edge of pavement. And actually, I have drawings. If you want to pass these out, and you can take a look at these as well. And from the edge of pavement to the edge of the right-of-way is over 75 feet. So when I hear that, he's trying to vacate the property and bring it back, it's a public right-of-way. So it's neither here nor there. If there's questions, that you have, I'd be happy to answer those. But I think it's a pretty straightforward facility. These facilities are meant to replace the macro cell sites you see. It takes about 12 or 14 of these facilities to replace the coverage. These are much less visually obtrusive, and we're being driven this way. And of course, with technology, we all need to communicate, so that's what we're doing this for. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer any of these. If you want to look at the drawings, the larger scale drawings, if you go to sheet S1, It actually shows you aerial photograph of where the pole will go in picture A. Picture B is taken directly across the street of the pole site. As you can see, there is a cluster or stand of trees that visually obstructs it from the adjacent neighbors. And if you look on the other two remaining pictures, you can look up and down the street. Then if you go to the very last page of these sets of plans, there is a site plan. There we go. And this might be a little hard for people to see, but if you go to the site plan, the pole is right here, and this right here, this outer edge line, is the right-of-way. His house is beyond the right-of-way. He obviously can't put his house in the right-of-way. It's over 75 feet from where this facility would be, at a minimum.
Can I ask a question about the pole? Is it will remain one pole?
It's
or
one
you're
pole.
Adding a second pole?
We're replacing an existing traffic sign post.
Thank you.
And lastly, I'm just going to show, you saw the alternatives. As you can see from the pictures in the alternative analysis I gave you, they are much highly visible to the neighbors. I mean, this one here, it's a long driveway. You get the trees blocking it. It's on the bend. It covers maximum. If you go to the alternatives we looked at, besides cutting off the RF coverage north and south, it's much more visible. And you can see it in the pictures itself. So we felt this was the least obtrusive to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, Vice President Repenning. Mr. Boyle, thank you for your presentation. A couple of questions. In the appellant's letter, there was a mention of Crown Castle staff or some representative communicating they might decide on an alternative location. Are you aware of that?
I'm not fully versed with what was expressed to the appellant, but we always look at alternatives. I mean, that's what we have to do because we just don't want to stick it in the pole, in the shred-away without any thought to it. There is a thought process that goes along with this. We evaluate all the facilities in the area that are existing that can possibly cover our RF radio frequency objectives. Then from there, it then goes into a land use planning situation. Okay, is this in front of someone's front door? Is it, on someone's rear side yard? So these are the factors we take into place, and that's how we came up with this being the primary after evaluating
Just
that.
focusing on reacting and hearing that the constituent homeowner report that they had been told that there was an alternative location. We'll take that up later. The second one is this pole is on grade and it's not on the sidewalk. And so there was a pole existing. Has Crown Castle talked about or looked at safety issues about it being on grade, being sort of right on the side of the road?
We really haven't had too many issues with that. I mean, this pole's existing. We're not putting a new facility there. I don't know if this pole's ever been hit. That's really a question. I mean, if there's something of safety, we could put bollards in front of it if you wanted to. But the facility's been there the site's been there, the pole's been there. We're not changing anything. Mm-hmm. So I don't see why, if the pole hasn't been hit, why it would be hit now.
We don't know that. Yeah.
Anything else, Commissioner Jacinto? Okay. Can I call Mr. Ledoux back to the podium? So the concern I have is about process today. I understand that that we maybe did not receive the appeal, the filing for the appeal on time. However, Mr. Levine has indicated that he believes that he filed on time. So I don't know where the discrepancy is in that, but from a process perspective, I would like to request that we allow his appeal to be heard so that we continue this item. Am I allowed to do that? Okay, so I'd like to allow the appeal to be heard so that we spend more time going through his concerns and looking at what might be possible with Commissioner Jacinto, and then bring it back to board so that we do a hearing. I would like to grant Mr. Levine that opportunity.
The only thing I could say on that is the municipal code basically says that I have to open a 14-day window. The letters that I sent out to those properties that were in the notification pattern, stated what the last day of the appeal period was, and the municipal code simply says that it must be received by our office by that last day. It was not received in our office by that last day. It came in sometime afterwards. I, don't control the United States Postal Service, and sometimes they take forever to deliver a letter. I saw one that the person mailed 10 days before the appeal day, and it didn't get to my office till after that period. So the municipal code doesn't give me any leeway when it does not reach our office by the close of business on the last day of the appeal period, which is what happened in this particular case. But, if you want to continue it and have Commissioner Jacinto get us all together, that's your prerogative.
Okay. Is there a motion to continue this item?
Right.
Moved by Commissioner Jacinto, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Thank you very much.
And Vice President Repenning, just for clarification, for continuation, would you like to set a time, i.e. 1 week, 2 weeks, or would you like to just postpone this to a date to be determined?
I think that we would like to have this happen soon. So is 2 weeks enough time to get everyone together, or would you like a little bit more time?
You would probably have to question the appellant here on whether he could get together with us in 2 weeks. I mean, I can, and I'm sure Crown Castle can.
If so, we can go ahead and continue it. The proposal would be Friday, 2 weeks from now would be Friday, September 30th. We can schedule that on the agenda, and that would allow the parties to reconvene and discuss the matter with Commissioner Jacinto.
Does that work for you, Mr. Levine?
I'm sorry, I'm a physician and a surgeon. I've scheduled my surgeries on a different day than today so that I could be here. I need to confer with my office. I know the next 2 weeks my schedule has been filled. I'm sure I can come up with a Friday, but I would appreciate, I'm not asking for a large extension, but I would appreciate a little bit of a window so that I can confer. Perhaps I could communicate with Mr. Ledoux and we could come up with a mutually agreeable date.
So we can go ahead and just continue it to a date to be determined. That gives us the flexibility to establish that date. It could be within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. We will work with Mr. Ledoux's office and also Commissioner Jacinto and the appellant also to establish that date.
Okay. Mr. O'Boyle?
I'd like to speak to this, absolutely. If the appeal wasn't filed timely, it wasn't appealed timely. And so I understand you have your procedure issues, and that's a city issue, but my client's rights should not be trampled because of that. Above and beyond that, the issues that have been raised are RF in nature, the radio frequency. That's preempted by the federal government. Local jurisdiction has no say over that. So I'm concerned about what issues you want to talk about over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, I understand that, sir. What I'm suggesting is that we continue the item so that more information can be discussed about the proposed location. My concern is that this came to our board with objections, and that typically in this case, by the time that it would have gotten to our board, Commissioner Jacinto, who is our in-house specialist on these matters, would have had a chance to really look at it and think about it so that we're not all hearing this for the first time. What I will request in continuing it on the grounds of this process is that we do come back to the board quickly, because I understand that.
I'm still a little confused. What does the process have to do with my client? I mean, the issues have been brought up of radio frequency in nature, which are preempted. So whether your appeal period's been heard properly or not, the issues that are before us, they're not going to grow, or they shouldn't be able to grow.
The discussion is not on the basis of health concerns. The discussion is on the basis of, are there alternate locations that might work better? And I do not feel at this point that we have adequately had that discussion. You put papers in front of me today that no one's had a chance to really look at and consider. So I'm asking that our board be given the opportunity to consider that, and thus I'm continuing the item today until a date to be determined. However, I would request that all parties find a time quickly to get together soon so that we may come back and make a decision on this item.
May I request that this gets done within less than a month? I mean, we've been waiting. This has been going on since July. and, there's shot clocks and federal rules on this.
Commissioner Jacinto?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Mr. Ledoux, are we on a shot clock? Where are we at on the shot clock, sir?
Let's see. This was applied for in June of this year, June 26. We're now into September. I would have to look and see because the shot clock deals with the time in which it was in our ball court, only not in the time it was in theirs. So I would have to research and email you when I got back to the office.
Short of that answer, I would, again, I made a motion, and I think that's the best thing in terms of due process and for us to be able to hear this in a hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto.
So is it my understanding that we haven't set a particular date for it to come back to the board at this point?
Let me make a point of clarification.
Commissioner
The
Davis.
constituent has stated that he will check with his office, and I'm sure that we can get a confirmation from him today that he realizes our urgency in doing that as expeditiously as possible, and we have that commitment from him. Is that correct?
Should have that information this afternoon.
And you do understand we're trying to do it short of a month?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so with that commitment, we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. Moving to agenda item number 2. Council Districts 1 and 13, recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of task for solicitation number C3 to CH2M from the pre-qualified on-call consultants list, increasing the budget authority from $1,390,444 to $2,364,418 for design and construction management support services during construction of the Riverside Drive viaduct replacement over the Los Angeles River project. Mr. El Saheb from our Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nasser El Saheb, Bureau of Engineering Bridge Program. Give you a little bit overview about the Riverside project. This project replaces the old obsolete truss bridge that was declared by Caltrans as obsolete. The old bridge used to, it was composed of 2 bridges that comes into sharp angle. And that bridge is already now demolished, and we are underway with the new bridge. The new bridge starts at the intersection of Riverside and the Interstate 5 freeway, going east over the Los Angeles River, over the railroads, and over Avenue 19, where it ends at the newly under construction roundabout at the intersection of San Fernando and Figueroa Street. The project right now is about 85% complete. We are looking to be done with construction by April of next year overall, and substantially completion. Hopefully, we are pushing much the contractor to be done by the end of the year, substantially completion, and open the bridge, with the remaining work to be done by April of next year. CH2M was tasked last March 2015 to provide design and construction management support services to support city staff in responding to requests for information and reviewing submittals, and provide schedule reviews, updates, reviews, and in all engineering disciplines from civil, structural, traffic engineering, resident engineer at the project site, environmental engineering support, basically in all disciplines. Your board had approved the original budget of close to $1.4 million. As of to date, we have exhausted and authorized all the approved budget. CH2M services will continue to be needed throughout the construction and post-construction period to resolve also a claim, or potential claim, that was sent to our office by the contractor in the amount of $6.9 million that we are still working on. This project has been challenging. Construction duration has been extended significantly due to many challenges, unforeseen conditions encountered by many underground undocumented utilities that needed extensive coordination and design support, with our consultant. And again, as I mentioned, their services will continue to be needed through the end of construction next year and the post-construction period. On page 3 of the report, it shows a breakdown of the requested amount. And on page 4 shows the anticipated revised task amounts for the prime and for their sub-consultants, as well as their DBE anticipated levels. Small correction to be mentioned, I would like to amend on page 5, the second line, the amount. It shows incorrect amount, and it should be basically the revised task amount of 2,364,418. So if approved, we would like to approve as amended.
Okay, so you are asking us to increase the amount that we are paying CH2M for. At this point, it's mainly construction management. The design phase is I assume, pretty much over, because there have been some issues that have come up during construction.
Yes, there are many, design. Basically, it requires some design revisions, some design updates, and request for information for the contractors. So it's continuous, both design and construction management support, throughout.
Can you talk to me about the overall budget for the Riverside Drive Bridge project? How are we doing in terms of the bigger picture on the budget for this project?
Right now, the approved construction budget by the board is $50,084,000. The approved budget by the council is $56 million plus. So we have a little bit, money left to negotiate the claim that we have right now, or potential claim that we are negotiating with the contractor. So it depends how the negotiation goes. We may need to go back to the council if we are exceeding that remaining budget of approximately $6 million.
Okay, and in terms of the overall timeline for the project, we've had some delays.
We had significant construction delays due to, as I mentioned, the complexity of this bridge. It's not really it's not regular bridge. This bridge is considered one of the more complex projects, that we have been, constructing. Many unforeseen conditions were encountered. This bridge has long span. It's about 1,200 feet that has curvature over the Los Angeles River in post-tension, structurally. It's been challenging to construct, multiple composite structures in the bridge, for this bridge. So between the unforeseen conditions, the extensive coordination that we have to do with other departments, realignment of storm drain pipes, 40-inch pipe with Department of Water and Power, and relocating, some of the piles due to hard-bit strata, so that we encountered during construction, which delayed the driving of the piles, the foundation for the bridge. We have encountered significant delays in this project, and that's why we were working very closely and extensive coordination with our consultant, design consultant, to resolve and adjust our design, to resolve these unforeseen conditions during construction.
In terms of the DBE numbers on this, I see that the original goal for the project was 6.01 for DBE participation, and that the original task order included 13.61%. However, the revised task amount is actually expanding the DBE participation to 27.09%.
Correct. And we anticipate to improve significantly once your board approves this budget increase. We'll be utilizing more DBE firms. That's going to improve these participation levels significantly.
When are we expecting to open the bridge?
Substantially complete. We are really working and pushing hard the contractor to open the bridge by the end of the year, with all other civil improvements and the remaining, punch list to be done by April of next year. So we are working very, very hard with the contractor to kind of push all angles to make this happen.
And at what point do we expect some resolution on the outstanding issues with the contractor?
Contractor submitted additional request for compensation, for $6.9 million. again, this is for construction years 2012, 2013. So we anticipate that the contractor will submit additional requests for subsequent years. We've been working with the contractor. We are back and forth asking additional information. Contractor could not respond to the request that the city has been sending to justify basically and give us a breakdown for this amount. So it's been ongoing since they filed their request back in 2014, back and forth, and so far nothing has been received to our satisfaction to be able to say, yes, we are close to settling this. And since the construction has extended, they mentioned verbally that they will be submitting additional requests for subsequent years.
I'll go ahead and make a motion on agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any reason not to send this forthwith? Okay, item is approved and will be sent forthwith. Thank you.
And
Thank you, Mr. El-Saheb.
Vice President Repenning, just to clarify, the request was to adopt that as amended so that we can correct the dollar amount on page number 5. It does not change the recommendation or the report. It just simply clarifies the dollar amount to be at $2,364,418.
Okay.
If that's okay, I'd like to ask the board to adopt this as amended.
I will move to adopt it as amended, and Commissioner Davis will
Seconded
second
by
it.
Commissioner Davis. Thank
And
you.
it will be sent forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3. Council District 1, the Bureau of Engineering is recommending that the board approve the reallocation of $631,458 award amount from the Police Academy Training Facility project to the Police Academy renovation project, and $675,000 from PAT project contingency to the PAR project contingency with no change to the overall contract amount. Additionally, request the Office of Accounting to effect any and all required accounting transactions. Mr. Kawaguchi from the Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Heads. My name is Alan Kawaguchi. What we're requesting is the contract award amount is not changing. The contingency amount is not changing on the project. What we're trying to do is we're trying to realign our funds to match, one, how the contractor did his what we call contractor values. We have 2 separate accounts that we're funding the project from, and that's what we're trying to align. Same thing with when we got down to change orders. Back in October 28th, 2015, the city engineer requested from this board to start negotiating change orders in the amount of about $1,136 for changes on the project. We've concluded all those changes, and that amounted to, again, trying to transfer and align the numbers up of about $675,000 from one of the funds to the other. I did want to mention that that this facility, yesterday, the Police Academy had their grand reopening. It was attended by well over 600 people that were at the facility. The project was roughly set originally for about 24 months. The contractor, Kemp Brothers, who's actually here today, did an excellent job in trying to keep with the schedule because of the importance of this facility. For some background on of the project is, I'm sure each of you have done some renovation, hopefully at your home, and they don't quite always go on schedule, and we find a lot of unforeseen conditions. In this project, Kemp Brothers actually renovated over 80,000 square feet of building space, and also at the same time constructed 21,000 square feet of new space. Again, the project was set at about 24 months. We finished about 2 months behind that amount due to unforeseen conditions that were at the site. The Police Academy, which is, the heart and soul of the police department, was well attended by past police commissioners and past police chiefs. The site did open up in 1931 and was the home to the 1932 Olympics. I do have up with me, like I said, Mark Reddick from Kemp Brothers, Nigel Chalmers, and Bill Guth. I'd like them to kind of come up because, like I said, without their help, we would have never made the opening date of September 15th. Again, very, very difficult project because, again, the campus, we had to keep it live with 3 different entities: Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles Gun and Athletic Club, and a credit union. So, again, that adds to the challenges that we had on site. So I'd like to come up and have them recognized because, again, I've typically don't have an opportunity to work with a contractor that's been as responsive. Because again, our plans did have a lot of difficulties with them. They moved their crews around to try to keep to the schedule the best they could. So like I said, can you guys please come up?
Come on up.
I also have the project manager, Joyce Marr. I know she really
Come on up, Joyce.
ran a whipping chain to the staff and keeping them. I mean, even like on the night before opening, they were there till about after 9 o'clock in the evening trying to get the pools cleaned out and everything else. So I'd like you to at least acknowledge them, because like I said, I think they did a really great job for the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you guys. It's not, I mean, for Mr. Kawaguchi to be really going out of his way to compliment your work definitely means something. So we work with a lot of different contracting agencies here at Public Works, and it's wonderful to hear that you guys have delivered for us, that you delivered on a difficult time frame. So thank you for your work, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, Alan and Joyce. Thank you for your management and for your stewardship in managing public funds Prop Q from 2002. That's a while. And this is such an iconic facility. We see it on TV. We see it in many different things, our academy and our training facility. So to the Kemp brothers, to Nigel, Bill, and Mark, thank you for keeping the project in service, the facilities, while you did what you had to do and all the improvements, and for meeting that deadline. Again, like Commissioner Repenning said, it is extraordinary when our staff goes over and above and says this is a contracting company that goes the extra mile, and we appreciate that. And so as much as we beat up contractors, we also like to reinforce and thank you for that type of service and partnership with our city, because again, this iconic project, and Kemp Brothers Construction will always be on site and recognize that they did this and they delivered, 2 months ahead, but we'll let that slide. But you met the date, and 600 people were able to celebrate the reopening of that. So great work, company.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I too want to thank you. I'm so sorry I was unable to get there yesterday, but I want to thank you. Everybody in the city knows how important it is for our law enforcement to be appropriately accommodated, and that we maintain the integrity architecturally of the facilities that they provide service out of. But I want you to know personally, I have the greatest admiration and appreciation for not only the work that you have done in terms of construction, but how you have done it with diversity. I think that is one of the core values of the Board of Public Works, is to ensure that we have a diverse staff in construction as well, and you have done that. So for that, in addition to the great construction work you do, I want to give you the cream on the cake for the diversity that you have presented in the way that you have done it. So thank you so very much.
Want to say anything?
Thank you. I'm Nigel Chalmers. I'm the project manager, and this is just a small representation of the team it took with the city as well. I just want to say thank you for this time and for this introduction. It's an honor. And we know now the true magnitude of what this project meant, especially after the showing yesterday for the opening ceremonies. Along the way, I was certainly not in the academy, but it grows on you, and we're so proud to have been a part of it, and I can't tell you guys what this today means to us as well. Thank you.
Joyce?
Again, Kemp Brothers has been an amazing contractor out of all the projects I worked on in the bond, and so they deliver this project at the highest level, and it is a very, very accommodating thing to know that we have contractors that we can count on. So, and our team from the Bureau of Engineering was also a big part of it, as well. DWP came through for us too, which is a big stumbling block in most of the projects we deliver, but it was a joint effort, a good team effort, and so thank you.
Thank you for your leadership on that as well. Okay, on agenda item number 3, it sounds like we're moving money from one account to another. Do I hear a motion? Moved by Commissioner Jacinto, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection to sending it forthwith? Thank you very much, Mr. Kawaguchi, for bringing the team in. Glad that we had a chance to thank them here today, and congratulations again to everyone on a great project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving to agenda item number 7. We have an oral report on our safe centers from the Bureau of Sanitation. Mr. Nguyen?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, commissioners, bureau reps. My name is Henry Yuan. I work for the Bureau of Sanitation, Solid Resources Citywide Recycling Division. Today I'll be reporting on the operation of a safe center. For the fiscal year 15-16, the city has overall collected 11 million pounds or 5,500 tons of ISM waste. Among those total collections, 6.2 million pounds are electronic waste, and compared with the 5.6 million a year before, with about 10% increase in collection and recycling. Following are some of the highlights of the program. For safe center operations, 7 safe centers operated last year, 2 days per week per safe center, Sunday and Saturday and Sunday, except the UCLA opens 3 days a week. Waste bulking, consolidation, manifesting, and ship outs 2 to 3 days per week. Our safe center produce about 2,000 manifests annually, which is required by law. Total participation in our safe center are nearly 130,000 for the past fiscal year. For our used oil program, marina oil collection, 14 sites were operational. We have over 200 locations for so-called certified collection centers to collect the used oil and filters. So overall, we collected about 2.8 million gallons used oil. And we also have 30 used oil filter exchange promotion events. For the shops program, we have 25 recreational parks, senior centers open, and 5 city facilities collected 55 gallon drums of shops for the last year. And all safe center collect shops as well. For the battery collections, all public libraries, 16 Jiffy Loops, and most city and LAPD facilities. Finally, for the collection events, sanitation held more than 20 mobile used oil and e-waste collection events. In addition to the regular used oil e-waste collection events, sanitation held additional HGW events in the last year to accommodate the requests from various council districts. For example, on March 26 in LA Sentinel for Council District 10, on April 16 in South Park Recreational Center for Council District 9, where we collected about 7.7 tons of HGW waste. And on June 11th in Crenshaw Christian Center in Council District 10, where 19 tons of waste were collected. In this November, we will be holding another HGW event in Lincoln Park Recreational Center for Council District 1. For that event, we'll also include and add a bulky item collection in that event. So this concludes my report, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Any questions?
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and receive that report. I'll move. Seconded by Commissioner Davis. And the report will be received. Mr. Executive Officer, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, seeing as how the desk is cleared, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting for today. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.